You're moving to Orlando or you're already in Orlando. Well, in this video, I'm going to cover 5 things that you need to know when you go to buy a home in this area. And if you don't do them, you're going to be in a world of hurt. You could potentially ruin your whole dream in getting a home here in Orlando. And I'm going to cover 5 things. Stay to the end of the video. I'll give you my number 1 thing that if you do, that you better not do, because if you do it, I promise you, everything else is for nothing. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hans. On this channel, I talk about moving to and living in Orlando, Florida. And while I absolutely love putting out these videos every Tuesday and Thursday, we'll love it even more being a licensed real estate agent here in the city is helping you with your real estate needs. So this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, whatever you have to do. I have your back when moving to Orlando, Florida, or heck, if you're already here, well then I got your back. Let's join together and we'll help you get it done. So getting into the video. So this is 5 things that you should not do when buying a home in Orlando. So I talk about a lot of other things, but I feel like this is important, especially in the craziness of this market. Like, it's bad enough that you're going to have to, fight to get into a home still, even with the rates increasing and all this crap. But at the same time, you really should avoid and make sure you're doing the right things, because you could go through that whole process and still be in a world of hurt and not in a better place. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to cover is being unrepresented. So what that means is not having an agent represent you when you're buying a home. Now, I will tell you, do you absolutely need one? Heck no. Like, while I love what I do, and I feel like that I bring many value points to my clients, that I will be the first to tell you that no, you do not need an agent when buying a home. Absolutely not. There's definitely people that can sell them themselves, and you can go to them and buy it themselves. What I love to tell a lot of people is, it's like when you go to court, like, you can absolutely represent yourself in court, but isn't it a lot better when you have a lawyer who's there to represent you and walk you through the whole process and give you the right, recommendations for your situation when doing that? Same thing applies to buying a home. Whether you're on the sell side or the buy side, like in this case, from with the buyer. But it's so important to make sure you have that representation so you're taken care of along the process, because it's crazy. It's obnoxious, and I've certainly had some bad experiences myself. I mean, I've been thrown into a home where the sewage was made of cast iron. And those of you who don't know, like, over time that eventually corrodes and falls apart and crumbles. Well, the agent I was working with, unfortunately, was bad representation in that case and did not recommend a sewer inspection. So I get into the home, and lo and behold, several months later, what happened? The home flooded with, yeah, you guessed it. So that was a world of pain. I had a newborn at the time, and it was just absolutely chaos. And honestly, it's what sparked me when I initially had gotten into the industry to want to make sure I get people the best recommendation for them and making sure that they get done what they need to in buying a home. Because not everyone is out there that has your back, and not everyone cares as much. Sometimes, I probably care too much, but hey, I think it's a good thing to have as a person. And it's that situations like that people find themselves all day. Or if you were even unrepresented, like, would you even have someone who knew to do that? Would you knew that you probably should have roof inspection to make sure that it's up to hurricane code? Would you make sure that, like, there's no previous water damage that was tried to be covered up? Like, do you even know who to call for an inspector if you want one? Probably not. And it's one of those things where, like, it's always good to have someone, especially like we're busy, like you work, or if you have kids, like you're trying to move to Orlando. It's like all this craziness going on. Like, wouldn't you like someone, like, it's so nice to be able to have someone who's just pretty much running that whole real estate side for you. All you're doing is verifying the information they're providing to you. And aside from that, you're like, hey, I agree with what you say. This is what I want to do. Perfect. And that individual like me goes out and we get it done. So I think it's so important to have someone who represents you, that's there to defend you, especially when the other side, the sell side, has a lawyer themselves. Like, why would you want to use the same lawyer as the person who's against you? It blows my mind. I don't understand it. I've always used both sides even before I got into the industry years ago. And I think it's so important to make sure that you're represented, to make sure that you're getting the best recommendations for your situation, and also make sure someone who knows the area. Because like I said, it's Florida. Like, you could be, one block could be great, but then behind your house you could have a meth lab. So it's not really in the city, but especially when you head into like Polk County and things like that. But I think it's super important, be represented. Don't go out there alone. If you can do it, have someone represent you and get it done the right way. All right, the second thing is not doing a home inspection. So I talked about this briefly in the last point, because that's just one of the things, being represented, but it plays into an important part as well. It's like, why would you buy probably the most expensive asset you're buying in your life and not have someone who's licensed look at it and tell you what's wrong with it. It blows my mind. Now that being said, the market has been crazy the last few years. So a lot of times, especially my clients might have, if you have a good amount of cash that you're willing to put into the home, if something is wrong, that you could waive the home inspection. And I'm not going to get super into those weeds because no one cares unless you're trying to actually buy a home in the moment. But like you can waive like the contingency to back out because of a home inspection. But I will never tell anyone to not do a home inspection. It's crazy. It's bonkers. Like, wouldn't you want to spend the several $100s to have someone look at the home, tell you every single thing that's broken, so that way you know what's wrong with the home before you get into it, including like, especially if it's like on septic, you want to get the septic inspected, make sure it's been pumped properly, it's taken care of. Like, it's crazy. Like, why would you not do that? But people do it day in and day out, and I don't know about you, but I don't gamble very well. I never win when I do that stuff. So I want to make sure that when I go into the situation, same thing with my clients, that you're taken care of. Like, you want to make sure the home, like, what the heck's wrong with it? Like, how would you know that there's 5 spots leaking in the roof? Are you going to crawl in the attic and look around? Most of the time, probably not. Some will, for sure. But if you don't know what you're looking at, then you're not going to know what to look for and make sure that, the home is what it should be. So always have a home inspection, whether you're represented or not, and you want to go that route, like, get a home inspection. Crazy. Don't be a crazy person. Get out there, get that home inspection. Okay, the third thing is not choosing the right area. So this is especially for my relocation people that are watching this, but even if you live in the city, but maybe you don't know it fully well, it's like, don't buy in a bad area. And that plays into so many things. Like, it could be a bad area just because like the schools are not good for your family to your liking. It could be a high crime rate area. It could be an area that just doesn't fit your wants and needs. Like, do you want to be as close as possible to Disney World, or are you looking to be in like Lake Mary and just away from as much as possible, or heading towards Zelwood and be away from the craziness that is the vacation rentals and all like the people that come to Orlando? Like, you want to be in Orlando, but you want to be on the opposite side of all that craziness that's going on. So it's a really like pick the right area, or if you don't know the area that well, finding someone like myself who travels these areas every single day. It's what I do for a living, and be able to give you a good idea of what it looks like. By the way, that's a hint. Vlogs coming soon in my crazy life. Gonna get those done. But, is making sure you choose the right area. Or if you're like us, when we initially moved here, is we chose an area that was, progressing. Like, the path of progress was heading along the 4, closer to Lakeland. And we want to make sure we were a part of that, because I think in terms of value for real estate will be held more solid in that area, because that's just where they're expanding. And it's still close enough to Disney World and things like that. It's only like 20, 30 minutes from the gate. It's not that bad. So it's really deciding like what your goals are and making sure you choose the area that's going to fit those needs the best. Because like I said, if it's bad schools or you get into an area and you don't like it, like, yes, the market's been great the last couple of years, going up and up, and real estate overall always goes up over time, and it's always like one of the safest bets and hedge against inflation. If you go to the pump, you know what I'm talking about. But it's making sure you buy a home that fits those needs perfectly, to try and not, you're not in a home for 1 year and you go, wow, this sucks. Like, I wish I never bought here. We don't want that. So make sure you choose the right area, and make sure you travel around. Make sure you look at all these areas if you can. If you can't, look, people like me, my team, we are here to help guide you through the neighborhoods, and I will always give you an honest opinion, because I want to make sure that you hear like the worst of every. I don't care if it's like Dr. Phillips, which is like one of the top areas in Orlando that a lot of people reach out to me and ask about. But there's still negatives about living in Dr. Phillips. Like, every area has its good and its bad, but I will always give you the full bad to make sure you can make a good idea, especially if you came out and visit. Now, if you are able to visit and travel around, like, yeah, go around, travel around, see what you like, don't like, and make sure you make that right decision when moving to the area. Number 4, and that's not planning your home right. And what I mean by that is making sure you're choosing and looking for a home or condo or townhome, doesn't matter, that fit your needs. So when you go to look, you gotta have your non-negotiables. Like, what can I not live with, right? So, back when years ago when we were in San Diego, we couldn't afford a full-priced home because we had kind of a little bit of hardship. Couldn't afford a full home. Also, it's freaking expensive. But we chose a condo instead, and we got into the condo. No yard. It was second story. Like, we had 3 flights of stairs just to do laundry that was downstairs in the garage. And having 2 kids and the downstairs neighborhood part, like, how you can be early 40s and party every single day, I will never understand. Every time our kids made even a peep, they'd pound the floor, and like that's what actually sparked our decision to move to Florida. So like, we're done with this. This is just crap, to be blunt. And that making that decision to move, and it was the best thing we did. But it's, it goes to show you that you can't choose the wrong home when you're looking, because if you have to decide, like, what can I not live without? Is it a bigger kitchen? Is it a functional kitchen? Is it having enough rooms for my kids? Is it being single story? Is it, what is it? Is it having a certain size yard? Like, what are your non-negotiables to live with, so that like what you will not live without? Because getting into a home or condo, it does not matter. But getting into something that's not good for you is just terrible. And like, we had one client reach out recently, and she was like, hey, like, I want to make sure, like, it's just me by myself, but I want to make sure I have a home that's big enough for my family to come visit me. Completely understand that. That is so important. And that was something that we incorporated as well, is making sure we had a good sized guest bedroom for people to visit us out here in Orlando. We don't have family here. I mean, I might have some distant family, but that's, who knows where they are. But it's making sure that you choose a home that fits your needs, because getting into something that's not for you, that's not going to be good for your situation, is just terrible. Like, it, and it's just going to ruin everything for you. So make sure you know what your non-negotiables are, and make sure you stick to those on your journey of getting a home. All right, and the last one that you should not do, that you should never do when getting a home, is having a bad mindset. So, man, the word's been thrown around a lot, I think, the last couple of years, especially as culture and social media puts it. But, like, to be fully honest, like, buying a home's a journey. One funny thing about being an agent, I always say, it's not just about helping people buy and sell homes. It's being part therapist. And, it is a very stressful process. Even if everything goes right, like, there's a lot going on, especially if you're moving. A lot of my clients are moving across the country to Orlando, or this, from wherever they're coming from, some even different countries. Right. And it's the stress of moving, especially if you have kids, and lining everything up, and when you need to start your job when you get there, and all these things, and all this, chaos. And what I tell everyone is, like, make sure you understand why you're getting a home, why you're moving here, or, even if you live here, like, why you're buying this home, and sticking to it, and reminding yourself every single day, and giving me permission to remind you as well when the moments get tough, because they will. And it's understanding is, even though when things seem terrible, it's like there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you got to push through and understand that, nothing is simple. But having, that plan in place, working with me and my team, like, we will set up a plan in place, and we will fight for you to make sure that everything works as good as we possibly can allow it. Because, there's going to be things that go wrong. There's going to be issues that come up, and it's just working around those, but making sure you understand, like, why you started this process and following it through. Because if you're just going to be, negative Nancy on everything, then it's just going to be terrible. You're going to have a bad time. So, stick with it, have a good mindset, understand why you're doing the purchase, and pushing through, and making sure you're getting the right recommendations with someone that you trust. Maybe it's not me, maybe I'm not the fit for you, but if you watch this far in the video, I have a feeling that we have a really good connection. So, if you got value from this video and you are looking to move to Orlando, it's what we do especially. But even if you are already in the city, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email. I am getting reach outs days, nights, weekends, and I love it. Like, it's what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. Me in the military, I've relocated everywhere. We relocated our family here, and it's what I do. Or even helping people get a better life here in the city if they're already here. I do that too. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and that's what I focus on. So if that's you, reach out. I'm here to help you in that journey, and I love it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, so that way you can be notified every time I drop a new video. Guys, girls, I hope you like this video. I will see you in the next one.